thought I would talk about my first year of recovery because I thought that might be helpful to somebody. One of the things that I think about when I think about my first year of recovery is that sometimes I thought it was never going to end, and that I thought that I was never going to be able to get through certain situations. And I thought that I was going to absolutely positively have to take a drink or use a drug in order to stop the feeling that was happening in that moment, and that if I didn't do that, that I would die, that I would just come apart at the seams, I would just be struck dead by the feeling. And I'm coming up 2 weeks from this filming, from today, will be 20 years of not using anything. And one of the things that I was told in that first year was to always remember what the first year was like, and to, in New York they call it keeping it green. I don't know, they might call it that other places as well, but in that first year, I felt like I was a soldier and that I just had to keep marching forward and making sure that another thing I heard in New York all the time was you just don't drink or use no matter what. And sometimes that's what I had to fall back on. And the benefits or the fruits of having gone through that first year and gone through those feelings that felt like they were absolutely impossible and that there was absolutely no way on earth, no matter what, that I was going to get through them without using. The benefits and the fruits of that are that after the first year, subsequent years have been easier. And I hear a lot of people, or I've heard a lot of people say they worry about people getting addicted to recovery, which actually, as you can see, makes me smile and sometimes makes me full out laugh. Because what a terrible thing to be addicted to. In any case, now as a clinician, if someone were addicted to recovery, I would have a lot easier time weaning them off of that or titrating them down from that than I would from alcohol or crystal meth or marijuana or anything else. So what I did when I was first in recovery was I just threw myself into it for the first year and beyond as well. But that first year I really remember just spending all my time, or a majority of my time, with other recovering people and in coffee shops, where I thought, this is not where I want to be. In my early 20s, a coffee shop night after night, but I just did it. And as a result, I didn't drink or use no matter what, and over time things got different. And I don't spend every night in a coffee shop, and I don't feel like I'm in a fist fight with I'm not going to drink or use no matter what. I just feel like I'm living a life, a different kind of a life than I did before. And I have a lot of great memories. I have a lot of memories of the pain and the difficulty, but I also have the memories of this one particular coffee shop in New York City that's not there anymore. I think it was called 103. And they had these huge picnic tables where people in recovery would come into this place because they had huge picnic tables and they were open 24 hours. And so we would come in there and there'd be like 10 or 12 people in recovery at 2 a.m. And everyone would order, a coffee or a decaf or a tea, and we would just keep getting refills. No one ever ordered any food, and the waiters hated us. But we all, found in that togetherness and just being able to be in a safe place doing what we all do best, which is just talk about ourselves. We were able to stay sober for that day, for that evening. And I have a lot of great memories of that. And I have a lot of great memories of, there was this one particular cafe that was run by someone who was sober, and there was no liquor at the beginning at this cafe, and they had music as well. And could just stay there all night. And if that's what you need to do, that's what you want to do. And I have great memories of that. In my first year, I gave up a lot of other things besides alcohol and drugs. I gave up. I had been a professional musician for a long time, and I gave it up temporarily. I didn't know at the time it was going to be temporarily, or I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I actually had the opportunity to make music on a larger scale than I had made it before. Early in recovery, I was offered that, and my particular story, and I don't put this out as something for everybody, because everybody's different, and I've had a lot of people in my life who continued to play music in early recovery, or whatever it is that their career might have been that might have been challenging in regards to recovery. But in any case, I gave it up, and by doing that, I developed a new relationship with music and eventually got my career back, and it was bigger and better than before, and I loved music again and all that. And I look at that all as a result of being willing to just say this year, and I didn't do it a year at a time, as they say. I did it just each day. In that first year, I just said, this is what I'm doing now, and it's worth it. And when I think back on my story, on my story of drinking and using, and where I was before that year, that first year, and where it would have led me had I continued to drink and use, I would not be sitting in this very comfortable chair having a chat with you all. I would be, I don't know where I'd be. I don't want to think about it any further than that. Just to say that the first year of just being willing to do things that may not have seemed exciting enough at the time for the kind of addict mind that I had, that may not have seemed like they were leading somewhere that I wanted to go, that may not have seemed like they were relieving the pain in the moment that I was taking the action or sitting in the cafe or doing what I was doing. Even though none of those things seemed right, I now know in hindsight that I owe my life to the person that I was in that first year, putting up with the pain and the difficulty and the struggle. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to myself for having done that. And I can't say enough, and I can't say it strongly enough, how important it is to let go of the voices that might say, the voices in one's head, the voices of people on the outside, maybe even the voices of other people in recovery, and often the voices of people who are not in recovery who would say, you know, oh, you're going to all those meetings, or you're going to all that therapy, and you're doing all this, it's just nothing's changing. Something is changing. And that's an important message that was given to me when I started, and it's a message that I try to transmit to just people in general, and certainly I transmit it to the clients that I work with. And so if you're in your first year, it will get better, and you will have great memories if you